Today, I'm going to give my race recap of the 2019 Chicago Marathon. .2 miles, 3 hours, 15 minutes, 28 seconds for the Chicago Marathon 2019. Not exactly the result I was hoping for, not close to the result that I was hoping for of under 3 hours. But things that I want to keep in mind is that I did finish the marathon. I was able to do that, and crossing that finish line is something that's never guaranteed. And it's still, of course, personal best for me. Improves my last year's time of 3:17 and I think 40 something seconds by a couple of minutes, even though the last 5 miles or more of this race were pretty much a disaster for me. So what happened? Ultimately, what happened was I think that I just didn't have it. I don't know if it's I didn't have it today or I don't have it yet. But around the 20-mile mark, both my quads started feeling just absolutely terrible. I thought it started out feeling like it might be some of those salt and dehydration issues that I've experienced in the past, but then it happened in both legs at the same time to a very different degree. And so around the 20-mile mark, right before the Chinatown gate, I started walking, and then I eventually squatted down to try to just flex the muscles in a different way, give them a little bit of a break. I then got up and started trying to run again, and my legs just wouldn't move. And so jogging really didn't help. Running didn't help. Walking didn't help. Nothing really helped. So I was able to walk. I was able to run for short bursts of time here and there, but it never lasted very long. I don't think it was an aerobic issue because I was hardly even breathing heavy. I wasn't sweating. It was a muscle strength issue. The closest thing that I can kind of compare the feeling to is if you've been to the gym and you've been bench pressing or doing shoulder lifts and you have a really hard workout. The rest of the day, you're still not working out. It's been hours since your last, bench press, but you still have a hard time lifting things. That's kind of the feeling that I had. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel winded, but my legs just didn't work. And so that was what happened to me today. Thinking about why that happened, there's a lot of reasons why it could have happened. One very obvious reason could be I'm just not strong enough to run at that pace for that long. So that's a very real possibility, and I'm not going to discount that. I'm not going to hide away from that. Other things that I think could have made a difference are we came through the half really fast at 1:29.09, and the 3-hour pace group was still ahead of me by a couple hundred feet. That was a very quick first half of the race, much faster than I had been planning. Whether coming in at 1:31, which is around where I was planning, versus 1:29 almost flat, would have made the difference, that I could have stretched out the pace and then picked it up and had enough in there to make it the full distance, to make it even at least a little bit closer, maybe in the 3:05 range. I don't know. It's all just interesting conjecture at this point. Maybe it would have made a difference, but today, whether it wasn't my day today or wasn't my day yet for this year, I don't know, but I just tend to have it. So I decided early on, maybe not early on, but after about the mile 18 mark, that's where the Edge Athlete Lounge cheer squad was. And as I ran through there, my coach actually kind of hopped onto the course and ran with me for a couple hundred feet there. and she was asking me how I was feeling. I felt like I was struggling already at that point, or about to start struggling. And she gave me some really encouraging words. She told me that I was coming through real fast, not in a bad way, but I was coming through fast. I was looking strong. The pace group at that point was exactly where I wanted it to be, just a little bit ahead of me. And she kept pointing at the flag and saying, "It's just right there. You're doing fine. Just stay smooth." And that felt really good. And it was just great to have her, since she's been running on all the hard Thursday workouts. She's jumped in on some of my intervals every time. And it was a nice calming kind of influence to have, and to have her kind of out there with me was great. But I very quickly, peeled off from her and had to keep going. I didn't make it much longer than that. By the time I got through Pilsen, I already knew like my day was pretty much over. I was still trying to salvage it though. And mentally I was saying that this was just the mental part of the wall, and I wasn't going to let it stop me. I wasn't going to start thinking about what's my B goal, or how do I have to run for the rest of the day to hit my B goal. I decided that it was going to be an A goal or nothing day. I was going to keep at this pace, keep having the 3-hour pace group in my sight, or I was going to die trying. But I did have a lot of support on the course. I had a lot of support online from you guys, sending me so many messages, Twitter, Instagram, and in the YouTube comments. I didn't have a chance to respond to them before the race, but I did see all of your message. I looked through every single one, and I thank you so much for that support. I had that support with me coming into the race, and I was carrying it with me, and it just helped me push even further. Even when I knew my legs wouldn't have it, it helped me continue to at least try to push and see how much further I can take it. I think I had about a good 30K worth of race. And the way that I was kind of describing it to people after the race and all through that evening and the following day was I had a great race until I didn't. I was having a great day until I wasn't. And that's something that I'll remember. It was a good feeling. I felt strong until I didn't feel strong. And it just kind of just dropped off relatively quickly. But some of the things that I can't blame nutrition. I had a 5-gel nutrition strategy, and I thought that worked well for me. I don't think I was dehydrated. I think I had plenty of salt. My hydration plan was to take Gatorade because it has sugar and salt in it every other station, and I did that. That worked out really well. I didn't have any trip ups in the 8 stations at all. No slipping, no tripping, nothing like that. I was able to kind of maintain a pretty good pace through them all. So all that felt great. I just didn't have it on that particular day. And, I don't know that I'll have it on any day right now, given my level of fitness. But I know now what I need to work on is muscle strength. So all that strength training that I did a little bit, but should have done more, that's what I need to work on. I may need to start hitting the gym. I've been avoiding that. So that's something that I might have to start getting some weights involved. I'm not quite sure. I'm still not a huge fan of weights for long distance runners, but this may be the absolute proof that I need. I need to do some hill work. I need to do a lot more hill work. That's something that I think I want to work on. And I think I want to start doing some cross training as well. Maybe do some bicycling, especially in the winter months once it starts to get really cold. Keeping the aerobic level high, getting some muscle load on the quads. I think that'll all be really helpful for me. So those are some things that I'm going to work on. My ultimate goal is still the 2:59:59, but my ultimate goal is to turn the weaknesses of today into my strengths of tomorrow. And so that's what happened to me after my first Chicago Marathon, where I knew it was a matter of a bunch of things went wrong, hydration being one of them, but also it was an aerobic problem. And so I turned that into becoming my strength, and having aerobic strength was something that I was able to carry with me into 2018 and earlier this year into 2019 when I was able to BQ for the first time. And so next time, my leg strength isn't going to be the problem ever again. And so I will be able to start working on that and make my quad strength become my next strength going forward. The idea being, as I go and continue to race more marathons, I'm definitely going to race more, is to whittle away all the weaknesses that I have until I can become the best runner that I can be. And so I have lots of direction now. Nutrition was great. Hydration was great. My aerobic conditioning was great. I think all those things were fine. It was just the one variable that kind of stood out to me was my leg strength. And so that muscle strength, I'm starting to understand how much that's important and how much I really need to work on it. I already knew that I needed to work on these things anyway before today, but this result makes it absolutely crystal clear that that's where I need to go. Some other things that I can kind of tweak and control in terms of what to do for my next marathon. One of the things is making sure that I'm taking care of myself better in the week leading up to it. Now, of course, I'm tapering and I'm watching my nutrition and I'm watching my hydration, all those kinds of things. But Chicago got very cold over this last kind of week, very, very suddenly. Like the week before, we had seasonable or a little bit unseasonably high temps. It dropped to unseasonably low temps. And I spent a lot of time outside. And that was like just going to the expo, being around outside. There was tons of like marathon events to attend as well. And so surrounding the weekend. And so like that, I just spent a lot of time outside and I didn't dress warmly enough. By Saturday morning, I was buying Advil and taking it pretty much around the clock. So I kind of had a low grade headache the entire weekend. It kind of felt like when I don't have enough caffeine on the weekends, it's kind of like that, but a little bit more intense, a little bit more persistent. So I was taking Advil all Saturday, and I definitely took some Advil Sunday before the race as well. So I'm not going to blame that on the race, but it's another kind of thing, another distraction that I can definitely take care of. The other thing that I can take care of is dressing warmer for a race. I got very caught up in the idea that it's a race. I need to have my race gear on. And I got out of the mentality that I've been kind of approaching the marathon all season long, is that it's just another long run with a little bit of a race at the end. And for just another long run, I wouldn't have worn like a singlet and arm sleeves. Well, I've done it before, but so on some long runs, that is exactly how I dress, depending on the weather. But also depending on the weather, I could run in full tights with shorts on top or a long sleeve. And I need to think about that a little bit more. I feel like I'm very susceptible to cold. As much as I love cold weather running, I'm very susceptible to it. And I think that being cold for me drains a lot of my energy. And so consistent with like taking care of myself the days beforehand, making sure I don't get whatever headache, low-grade fever that I might have had, and avoiding that, avoiding spending a lot of my body's energy, whether it's shivering or anything like that, being cold during the race. I had a really great day at the Indy Monumental Marathon last year, and I ran in like a quarter zip pullover and full length tights. And I didn't have a singlet and arm sleeves on that day, and I had a really great day. So that's something else that I've already knew about my body, but need to remind myself about my body going into things that I control for next time, like my race gear. And in terms of what the next time's going to be, I'm not sure. So I already talked to Coach about it. I saw her after the race at some of the post-race parties. She was talking about CIM, and that's something that I'm definitely interested in. I did take a look at CIM. It looks like it's already full, and I don't think there's a way that I can get in there. I'm kind of thinking about Houston for now. Coach and I haven't talked about that yet. So Houston is in January. It's another relatively fast course, relatively flat course. So I think that could be a possibility for it. I'd still like to run again in 2019, but at the same time, 2020 might probably be a better time for me to do that, thinking that if I do want to work on strength and make my leg strength specifically and turn that from a weakness into a strength of mine, I don't know that running in December, which is essentially like 6 or 7 weeks away at this point, is going to be enough time for me to make those kinds of gains. And so maybe pushing it out to 12 weeks, I think that's what it would be, is the better idea. At the same time, I don't want to run 2 marathon training blocks in a row. Now, granted, it'll be a little bit different since I'm at just coming off a peak, and I won't have to start at like week 1. But mentally, I think that's pretty tough to do. I'm not sure that I can do it. And you've got the holidays, and you've got some of Chicago's coldest temperatures coming up, which can make training difficult. And so lots to think about. If I don't get another marathon in over the winter, then my next one that's on my radar is going to be Boston. So I'll be going to Boston in April, not for my performance today, but I will be going to Boston for April 2020. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not looking to break 3 at Boston. Qualifying for Boston again at Boston is going to be my goal. So that's going to be a little bit different of a race. So that's why I also want to try and get in that faster run before then. But we'll have to see. I still have to sit down and actually talk with Coach about everything that happened in a little bit more detail, with a little bit more precision, and then we can talk about what the future looks like. That may involve her in the future or not. I'm actually not sure. We haven't talked about that at all either. So lots to think about for the future. Lots to talk about more today. If you have any questions about anything that happened over the race weekend or during the race in specific, I would love to answer any of those questions that you have for me down below. Ultimately, I'm sorry that I let you guys down. I know you guys have been very positive about that and telling me that I haven't let you down, but I still can't help but feel that to a substantial degree. You guys have been giving me the best support that a person could ever have going into a race, and I wanted to repay that with gratitude and with a great result. I wanted to give you guys something great to hold on to, because we do run this together, and I do think that this is a journey we're all on, I feel like. And so that's where that feeling of letting people down comes from, is that I wanted to keep the journey going. I wanted to have that result to give you guys. So I feel bad about that. And I thank you for your support. I thank you for your continued support. And I'm going to turn this feeling that I'm feeling right now, which isn't great, into something positive. I'm going to funnel that energy into drive to do all the things that I don't like doing that I know I need to be doing. Drive to continue pushing further when it gets hard. These are the feelings, this feeling, not that I didn't hit 3, but the feeling that I wanted to do something with you guys and for you guys. That feeling is what will become the positive energy for me going forward. And so if I say, I'm trying not to say it because it feels like I'm feeling sorry for myself, or it feels like I'm complaining somehow. But when I feel that I've let you guys down, that's a good thing. It's a good thing because it's going to drive me forward. It's going to drive us forward. We're going to get there together. This channel has always been about transparency and not performance. It's about seeing what a dude that runs a lot, who's not an elite, who's not naturally gifted, who's not a talented or even a very smart runner, can do if he keeps going and just keeps showing up every day. And there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. And today is both a high and a low. And with that, we're going to keep going forward. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. And I'm going to take a couple more days off to just kind of relax and reflect. But I will see you soon in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?